I wanted to do a video today on personality, especially to men, on how you can gain personality, because it's something that women are really looking for inside of men. But before I do, I've got a video I want to show you, and then I'll be back and we'll talk more about it.
You know, I truly feel bad for people that think men only pick their significant other based on the way they look. Like, I just assume you might have a shit personality and that's why you've come to that conclusion, or you've never been to an animal shelter with a man. I'm telling you, an animal shelter with a man is very eye-opening. So while everyone's looking at the puppies and kitties, your man's most likely fallen in love with like the three-legged, one-eyed, cancer of the six organs dog. Why? Because he walked in, that dog smiled at him, and he was like, "Damn, homie. I don't give a shit what's going on in your life. We're best friends now. I can feel it. It's that personality." That's how you know. If he's willing to deal with all the bullshit medical stuff that dog's coming with, just because he knows it's gonna come with unconditional love and a best friend, you too could be someone's three-legged bitch. You just have to have a little more personality.
While editing this video, I realized that although the video that she's talking about is how men view personality, I wanted to lean and flip that also to say we need to be men of personality. I think women should have strong personalities, not just pretty faces, but guess what? We men also have a responsibility to work on our physique and work on our personalities. Now, on with the video. I think she pretty much nails it on the head, because we get all wrapped up, especially in this hypersexual world, about what do you look like and how are you in the sheets and all this kind of stuff, your sexual marketplace value, etc., etc. But men, I tell you what, we are judged a lot by our personality, about the type of man we are. And she's revealing something there that I think when most men see it, they go, I can see that. I picked a cat for my daughter once based upon that. This cat was looking at us and kind of did some clawing at the little fence they were in. We were at a humane society. How about that gray one? We can get that one right there. She's like, sure. She was like 8, so okay. And we brought it home. And been a decent cat. Had some problems, but that's okay, because personality wins the game, especially for women. Women look for personality. Yeah, physique is important. I'll tell you, physique is important. That's why I'm out for my morning walk, because I believe in keeping my physique up. I'm a married man. I'm also 64. I got to keep my physique up. I've got to keep, I keep my medicines going. I take levothyroxine for my thyroidism. And then I have some vitamins I take just to keep everything working. But the one thing I cannot forget also is to do some mental things to help my personality along. And so I wanted to talk today about how men especially, you can get more personality. I have a couple of videos I'm going to put tied to this, which I think are good for giving you some extra information. But I wanted to talk a little bit about personality is like your physique. It doesn't happen just because you get up in the morning. I have to work at this. I got up to like 230 and my doctor warned me. She said the words pre-diabetic, which I knew that was going on a road that was going nowhere. She didn't tell me what to do. I had to take control of my life. And so started researching intermittent fasting, etc., and started losing weight and working on keeping off the weight. But another thing comes into play that I noticed 3 years ago is that I started adding more to my personality. And this was actually very good. I call this channel The Dawn Speaks, And so, because I had a boss who called me The Dawn, because I would go into work, be very personable, be very charming, but also being very competent. So let me start with something I think is number one, and that is be fun. In my life, I never knew how to be fun. I didn't know what to do. How do you have fun? I was really a dull boy, because if I ask out a girl, well, what do you want to do? Or, oh my gosh, you could just see the cringe, But if you're not fun before the date, if you're not a fun person, and I'm not talking about drinking, carousing, Just someone who's fun, someone who has some personality, someone with a smile on their face. You know, someone who likes to have fun every day. When I go to work, all of a sudden all these people want to talk to me, and I get girls that come up, and at work, you know, I keep my hands to myself. I rarely hug anybody, rarely touch anybody. I'm old enough to be their grandfather, most of the women I work with. But hey, they enjoy my company. They'll come up, walking up to me to talk and all this kind of stuff, and it's nice. They like that male attention fix, you know. But I try to be personable. And hey, how you doing? And kid with them a little bit, especially if I know something that's going on in their life. But sometimes it's serious, you know. What happened over the weekend? Oh, my boyfriend dumped me or something. All right, well, I'm sorry that happened, you know. That's also being personable. But fun. Fun is something you carry with you. It's not something you do just because there's a beach around or an amusement park. See, we men also, you have to be fun. And so it was hard for me to learn how to be a fun person. So, but that comes from letting your guard down, being pleasant, being kind, being courteous, being funny. If something's funny to you, share it with somebody else. If you know you have a certain type of humor with another person, share something humorous with them. You don't have to do it every day, but do you walk with fun? I had a boss. I was working at a grocery store, still do, but I was working at one in Idaho, and I was working up front, and my boss says, "You never smile," getting complaints that you never smile, some of the customers. So I started putting on a nice smile, just a nice smile. Walk around with a nice smile. Walk around with, you know, your shoulders back. Walk around with competence. If something needs to be done, you move in, you take care of it pleasantly, and you move on. People see competence. That's the second one I thought I'll throw out there. Number one is fun. Number two is competent. Are you competent in what you do? You know, do people look at you? Do they look at you like someone who gets the job done? Are you somebody who they can count on? At my work, I'm in a place where, in middle management, I have to wear several hats at one time. If I see something needs to be done, my boss expects me, because he's the store director, he's so busy, not his fault, he expects me to be the go-to guy. You know, the guy that'll move in if the eggs need to be thrown, or we're a little short-handed on the freight, or we do curbside like a lot of places do. They do these orders, mystery, special shopper kind of things, personal shopper kind of things. They're behind. Can you jump in and help out? Sure. That kind of competence says a lot also. Women like fun. They like nice. They like pleasant. They like competent. They also like physically attractive. Even if you're an older man, that you care enough about your physique. I'm going to tell you, men, that your waist should always be smaller than your chest. Measure your chest, measure your waist around the navel. You know, maybe you can't get back to, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. Well, I don't think he can either. But that's not the goal. And and the last thing I'll go to is, are you a complainer? Women hate complainers. People that complain about anything. People that complain about everything. And sometimes we men get a bad rap of, when we get older, we become curmudgeons and we complain. We need to stop complaining. I try to take the high road. Sometimes they're like, well, you're going to have to stay late and work on something. And I go, well, that sucks. But okay, you know, and we move on. That's not really complaining. You know, you're not complaining if you just have to go through something, if you just have to help someone out. So I've got some other videos I want you to show. Want you to see. But I think it's important, men. We have a lot of things talking about your physique, you know, and talking about how you need to treat women and how you need to be nicer and stuff. But don't forget, women love personality. We men love personality. I think what she says goes. I've met women with great personalities, and they were really attractive. And I've met women that had great bodies. They were attractive, but then after you got to know them, you're like, yeah. Same thing with us. But I think personality is our greatest sex appeal, and it's something that women want from us. Something you have to develop, just like developing a physique. Something you have to work on. So try to find ways to be fun. Try to find ways to be more competent Walk with confidence. I used to walk and clip my heels because I wasn't very confident. Now I move slower. I walk with more purpose. I practice walking confidence. I've had some men tell me they practice the things that I'm telling you. And there's a lot of good videos out about personality. And I'll tell you, there are some women in this world, they're not all vain, shallow, modern feminists like sometimes we see on the internet, but they're looking for a man that's fun. They're looking for a man that's slender. They're looking for a man that's competent. And if you can be those things, then yeah, they might work with you for some rough years of, being a little lean and having to work your way up. One of the main reasons why women aren't picking men, I think, is because of that. Yeah, you're going to have the modern feminist 20-year-olds out there doing their things, but there's a lot of good girls out there too, and you can't lose that faith. But are you being what they're looking for? So look into fun, competent confidence. Wear yourself like a man. Learn your frame. These are all things that you can learn. And I have also one I was going to show you about body language. We send out a lot more language in our bodies and in our face than we think. So think about this, man. Work on your personality and your physique. And of course, your spirituality, getting in tune with nature, in tune with God, read your Bible. But it's most important that you take care of body, mind, and spirit. Don't ignore any one of those three. So work on your personality, man. It is very key, and it's also for us married men. Our wives love it when we have personality, when we're kidders, but when also we're somebody they can count on. We're somebody that is there for them. We're somebody that does for them and allows them to do for us. So turn on the charm with your wife also. Just because you married her doesn't mean she doesn't want a charming man. So also learn this as a married man to be more charming.